And whenever Lutman talks about the Giants, he talks about them in a tone that just makes me like I become anxious. Like I get anxiety, dog. It's like, dude, chill. It's not even April yet. We're in spring training, and we're like, this and I'm not freaking out over exhibition baseball. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I just get a little anxiety.
I don't know if people are like losing their mind over exhibition baseball, but I do know that people do really care about the Giants, and I know that there's this misnomer like nobody cares about baseball. It's like, I don't know. I disagree on that part. I think people really do care, and I think they do love the team when you zoom out. Then when you zoom in and you look at the roster, what they say to themselves is like, there's not a lot of guys that I have an emotional attachment to. And that's why I think there was such an outcry regarding Brandon Crawford, at least in the last week or so, though I felt most of it was misguided. I saw a lot of people like losing their minds regarding Brandon Crawford and him being on the Cardinals and not being with the Giants. And it's like, look, I want to see Luciano. I want to see the young players, and you have to be able to turn the page. They brought Farhan in here to turn the page and see the young guys.
Right.
But then I'm listening to the TK podcast on the Odyssey app, and he's talking to Andrew Baggerly, and Andrew Baggerly's talking with like certainty that Nick Ahmed, who they signed, is going to start all these games as shortstop. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, like I didn't sign up for more journeymen. I don't want any more journey. And Nick Ahmed is a very good defensive shortstop.
Solid.
But he doesn't hit. And like you've invested so much time, energy, and equity into this guy, Marco Luciano. We've heard about him. Now, he may not be good, but don't you owe it to yourself and the fans?
I agree.
To like showcase this guy and see if he's any good?
I agree. Like we need to see him at least. Can I at least get 400 at-bats? 400 at-bats is all I'm asking for. 350 I'll be cool with. Even Casey Schmidt, your boy Casey Schmidt, you talked about him so much, I actually got excited about him.
Exactly.
I thought it was, now, he was in such a bad slump.
Yeah,
he got sit down and he got exposed, but I want to see the guy play. I want to see him play. Like, the mistake the Giants made last year is not bringing him up out of camp.
I agree with that.
Like, he should have been starting in Yankee
Let him
Stadium.
ride it.
He's the best player in spring training.
Yeah.
Let him ride that momentum into the bigs. Let him get that first month in to see what happens. But I do want to see some of the youngsters. Like, what I don't want to see is Mike Yastrzemski.
No. 500
at bats, and then we're talking about, whoa, you need an outfielder, or Austin Slater. Let me see some of the youngsters out here. Now, like Hunter Bishop, where's he at?
Hunter Bishop's recovering from an injury that he had last year, and I've seen videos of him hitting in the cage.
That's it.
Yes.
Wow.
On his own timeline. So I don't know. I don't even know. He was in Double-A. I don't even know if he's reached quote-unquote Double-A to play actual games.
Right.
He was in high Single-A last year. I believe Eugene.
Okay. All right. So that's where the Giants are at.
I mean, but that's where, as you see Corbin Carroll, who's taken, 7 picks after Hunter Bishop, and you can't do that in baseball. We do it in every sport, right? Like James Wiseman was taken 2. Who was taken right after him?
Right.
LaMelo Ball.
And Tyrese Halliburton.
We talk about it all the time. Okay? Corbin Carroll was drafted 7 slots after that guy, Hunter Bishop. And I like Hunter Bishop. He's a young guy from the area. I was rooting for him. Clearly not a great pick right now.
Yep.
And that was the thing that I'm looking at when it comes to Farhan is you brought him in here to move off the veterans, okay? And I look at this opening day roster, and it is younger, but if you're playing veterans like Nick Ahmed and Mike Yastrzemski, we're doing the same thing.
Right.
You were brought in to improve the farm system, and by all the metrics, the farm system is marginally worse.
Yep.
Okay? I haven't seen any of the young guys. You've made no significant trades of the farm.
Yep.
So, I want to see these eggs start to hatch as a Giants fan.
You would want to. Now, here's Farhan Zaidi. He was talking about Matt Chapman, and he's excited about how this team has come together.
We talked at the beginning of this offseason about how, we were going to do things differently. We needed to make changes. We're dissatisfied with how the last couple seasons went. And, I think we stayed true to that on a number of levels. The type of players that we've pursued, bringing Bob in and bringing some of our new coaches in, set a little bit of a different tone. So I agree that there are certainly some similarities in the sequence of the offseason. I don't think it's that uncommon, to have some priority players, and if you land them, great. If not, you kind of move on. And there's a lot of players every offseason who can really improve your team, and there's a lot of excitement about how this team's come together at this point.
A lot of excitement about the way this team has come together. Giants fans, are you excited about the way this team has come together? Here's Farhan talking about being in season mode.
The offseason's really over as far as we're concerned, and we're more in season mode, which doesn't mean you can't make additions, but it's a different dynamic because we're really focused on the players that we have and how they're all going to fit together. So that's the best way I can answer that question.
Speaking of fit, Shashky, here's Matt Chapman on the fit with the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a strange market this year, and the free agent process was a little abnormal. Our goals were to either get a long-term contract that we felt that I was worth, and if not, get the short-term contract with opt-outs and bet on myself. Last year I kind of, played through a hand injury for a lot of the year, so it just kind of wasn't the strongest year in some people's eyes. So I wanted to make sure that, if I was going to do something long-term, I was going to get the value that I'm worth. But, I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited about, the opportunity, and I got a really good feeling about it. This was the best opportunity that I had, so, it checked all the boxes. Obviously, I enjoyed my time in Toronto, but this was the best opportunity for me in many ways. So it just made the most sense.
I wonder what ways this was the best fit for Matt Chapman, because it felt like Toronto was a great fit with that lineup and what they do up there. Now the division's tough in the AL East, no doubt about it. You got the gauntlet of Baltimore, you got the gauntlet of Tampa Bay, and the New York Yankees, and you never know what the Red Sox are going to do with their talent and their team and their organization and how they do business. So I wonder if this was the best fit for Matt Chapman.
You have to think that familiarity with the region is a part of it. And then I'm thinking, and again, I'm guessing here.
The manager?
Yeah, Bob Melvin. Like, I'm not huge on Bob Melvin, quite honestly. I know a lot of people are. A lot of old Giants fans are really excited about it, and I'm happy that they're excited about it. I just want people to be happy about the teams and be excited about the teams. Gives us more stuff to talk about. But when I think about Bob Melvin, if he only brought me Matt Chapman and Matt Chapman ends up being good, well, then that's like bringing him in had some positive, tangible effect on building out the roster. I mean, these are the things like when you bring a Bruce Bochy in, veteran guys want to go play for a Bruce Bochy in Texas. Right? If you're on the fringe, you know, and hey, I'm going to be an integral piece in the playoffs if I'm like a bullpen arm or I'm, one of these role players coming off the bench. Bob Melvin clearly is buddies with Chapman, and Chapman respects him. So I think that's a big upgrade because a lot of current players did not like Gabe Kapler.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, it's undeniable.
When you think about Bob Melvin, I keep going back to San Diego and why it didn't work out down there. And I don't have the answer to that question. Was it as simple as, hey, the GM and the manager didn't get along and that caused a divide in the clubhouse? I would think that the clubhouse will rally around their manager and play well for their manager. For whatever reason, San Diego got off to a horrendous start, and that that clubhouse was an absolute mess. And Melvin obviously didn't have enough sway to fix that, to rectify that. There's a lot of talent in San Diego last year.
Fair counterpoint.
I just don't know. Like, I'm kind of with you in the same camp with Bob Melvin. He's been around the block a couple times. He's a solid manager. Is he great? But we felt the same way about Bochy, although Bochy was just in San Diego. We've seen Bob Melvin in Arizona. Haven't we seen him in Seattle? We've seen him in Oakland. Where else have we seen him? San Diego now? Like, this is 5th team he's managing. And so I hear how A's fans discuss Bob Melvin, and half of them were like, half of them were like, we miss Bo Melvin. Half of them were like, get him out of here. So I don't know about that. I think his job, though, Bob Melvin, we're going to grade him really on how these youngsters come out in the pitching staff.
100%.
Kyle Harrison, Wizen Hunt, the youngsters in the bullpen. How does he manage those arms?
I'm glad you bring that up. Part of, like, when Bochy got hired, one of the selling points was he's going to bridge the gap on the final year of Barry Bonds into the future. And the other part was like, hey, he did take a San Diego team to the World Series. And I thought he was a retread, and I was way wrong. But when I go back to 2007, they had Zito, and they had Bonds, and then they had a bunch of young guys. The development of Matt Cain, the development of Brian Wilson in 08 and 09, and Tim Lincecum and Pablo Sandoval in 09, that set the table for the next decade. You are 100% correct. Like, we can talk about, I'm just going to not Casey Schmidt, Matt Chapman. We can
Right.
talk about Jorge Soler. Those guys are probably 2-3 year gap guys.
Right.
If
Bridge
Luciano
guys, yeah.
hits, if Matos hits, if Bailey sticks, Schmidt, yeah, like you only need a couple of those guys. You don't need
Right.
all of them, but a couple. If somebody sticks, then yeah, that's
Right.
a testament to Bob Melvin. Absolutely.
And that's your core group leading the Giants into the
Totally
future.
agree.
And then all of a sudden you can start attracting free agents to where you don't have to struggle and sign free agents. When camp opens, you got these guys locked in December, January, before you get to camp in Scottsdale, Arizona. So there's a lot here with the Giants. Again, I am intrigued on the season. I'm very intrigued on how this plays out here with the youngsters, with Jorge Soler, with Patrick Bailey. What does he do in the bounce back year, his sophomore season? You know, Marco Luciano, are we finally going to see this guy? And Luis Matos, I still think there's something there. I know a lot of people are down on Matos.
He put on a lot of weight.
He did put on some weight, but I thought when he came up to St. Louis and they batted him second right away. Should have stayed there.
Well,
let these young kids play in premium positions and premium spots in the lineup, Sasky. That's my big issue, too. Luciano should never be batting ninth. If he's one of your studs,
I'm with you.
bat him second, bat him first, bat him third, bat him sixth. Don't have him at the bottom of the lineup.
I want to